Hello everyone, good morning. And as mentioned, my name is Jean-Sebastien, Senior Manager, Facilitation, Passenger Services and Operations at Airports Council International, or ACI World. So thank you for inviting me today, this week again. It's Linda, was your fifth time. I'm at number 2 now, so I'm catching up. Welcome to my short presentation on improving accessibility in airport designs. Where are we heading? So I'm thrilled to speak to you today about how airports are focusing on incorporating designs that have better and broader accessibility features, and more specifically, what our airport members are doing and what our industry partners also are doing on this subject. So if you were here earlier, you've seen the great presentation earlier from the next airport being built here in Dubai. So this was really an amazing video and an amazing presentation. But first, before diving into more the accessibility features, let me speak to you a little bit more about ACI, about our organization, Airports Council, for those of you who might not be familiar with our organization. So ACI's mission is to advance the collective interests and act as the voice of the airport members and their communities they serve. We promote also operational excellence in airport management and operations. So in our mandate, we foster cooperation amongst airport members and the industry to provide best practices, guidance, and ensuring the global air transport system is safe, secure, and environmentally sustainable. So as of January 2025, so earlier this year, we have a membership of 830 members around the world, and the number of airports now reaches 2,100 airports located in 170 countries. We also have a network of business partners that are vendors, service providers, and we have about 700 of these members representing every region. So as mentioned before, ACI is fully committed to building a more accessible and inclusive transport system. Our members recognize that people with disabilities and those with reduced mobility require a focus on the design of accessible infrastructure and in inclusive passenger journeys. So to do that, we work with advocacy groups focused on accessibility and also international partners to develop resources and best practices that can help airports to reduce the barriers in air travel. For example, since the last conference I was here in January of last year, we, as ACI, have been involved in several projects in accessibility through our activities in the World Facilitation and Services Committee, but also in our different working groups and task forces. For example, we issued the latest revision of the Airports and Accessible Travel Practical Guide, which incorporates recommendations and best practices on passenger journeys and how to assist members and their communities in designing new facilities and improving existing facilities. We've also seen a growth in the Airport Accessibility Enhancement Accreditation Program. Now we have a network of more than 65 airports that are members of this accreditation program. It provides a continuous path of improvements for airports in the areas of accessibility and is designed to help measure, evaluate, and improve accessibility management and culture. So in the Middle East, for example, we have 6 airports that are involved in the accreditation program. And we look forward to seeing more from the region and from the world also members. So from the region here, we have Queen Alia Airport, Zayed International Airport, Bahrain International Airport, King Fahd International Airport, Hamad International Airport, and last but not least, Dubai International Airport. So now back to the topic of accessibility. So to be a better gateway to global connections, airport designs have to enable everyone to enjoy their journeys. We've seen earlier passengers with lived experience explain how was their journey, what type of barriers they felt, and what types of challenges they felt. So the reason now is to see how it cannot longer be a side issue and not looked for, but a key business consideration. First, let's look now at how universal design principles and best practices are helping the airports to create truly inclusive, accessible, and safer environments. So modern airports will embrace universal design principle as a strategic imperative that enhance the travel experience for all. Universal designs, which means creating environments usable by all people without adaptation, transforms airport terminals from barrier-filled spaces to welcoming, inclusive environments. So the 7 principles of universal design can be put in action, actually. For equitable use, for example, it manifests through information systems with digital displays, audio announcements, and tactile elements to ensure flight information reaches all passengers. The check-in kiosks are also featuring adjustable heights and multilingual interfaces, eliminating separate accessible alternatives. With regards to flexibility in use, it appears in adaptable seating areas, accommodating wheelchairs, service animals, and people with different needs, with different options from traditional chairs to more quieter zones. To be simple and intuitive use, it drives consistent pictorial signage with color coding and logical layouts that reduce the cognitive load for all travelers. And I can go on and on. There are many, many of these principles, and we are working with airports to reduce those barriers. These implementations create measurable benefits. As we mentioned before, people are looking for independence, so passengers can navigate without assistance. We're looking for equity through consistent service quality regardless of capabilities. And welcoming environments. We want to anticipate human diversity rather than treating accessibility as an afterthought and after the fact. And having universal design will create competitive advantages, serving aging populations, serving expanded markets that you can reach as airports. This represents a fundamental shift from accommodation to anticipation. We've seen a lot now of new technologies, so everything now is high-tech or IT or AI. So how are airports making their places more inclusive, more accessible, using emerging technologies and innovative designs? So with technology, we want to create airports that are adaptive, that have intelligent environments, that are able to respond to individual passenger needs in real time. Innovations will create this dynamic, personalized experience that anticipates and eliminates the barriers. We want to redefine inclusive travel in this digital age. So now the new invisible assistant is called artificial intelligence. Maybe you've used it to come over here to look for a restaurant for later tonight or to book your flight. So what we see now more and more in the industry is AI-powered wayfinding systems. So these systems are providing personalized navigation based on mobility needs, processing walking speed, accessibility requirements, and connection times for optimal routes. We have predictive assistance platforms proactively offering services through AI, chatbots, so more and more communicating directly with passengers in multiple languages and multiple formats, including sign language avatars, 24/7 assistance, adapting to everyone's communications preferences. Some of our more tech-leading airports are also monitoring accessibility compliance in real time using computer vision systems, detecting blocked routes or malfunctioning elevators, and then automatically dispatching maintenance or engineering representative or redirecting the passengers to a different area. Finally, we also have beacon technology that provides indoor positioning for navigation apps that are being used with turn-by-turn audio guidance, integrated with personal devices for contextual information, so that the passenger can use the device that he's comfortable, the app that he's comfortable in airports. So all these technologies and many more represent a shift from being reactive to proactive and to inclusion. Airports are creating environments that anticipate, that can adapt and enhance the travel experience for everyone, making the invisible visible and seamlessly integrated into their operations. Another aspect we've heard about earlier today was how are we going to cope with the number of passengers traveling in the next 25 years. So the numbers are estimated to grow and to double in the next 25 years. We've seen an unprecedented growth with passenger traffic. The projected increase is 3.6% per year until 2044, which is about the double of the passenger volumes over 25 years. It has triggered massive infrastructure responses. So we hear about 1,000 airport constructions projects worth $800 billion worldwide. So the rapid expansion is creating difficulties and systemic erosion of the accessibility standards as airports might want to prioritize speed and capacity over inclusive designs. So how can we work this out? The aviation industry growth cannot be stopped. Accessibility challenge will still be there. Airports will prioritize accessibility integration from the earliest planning, discover inclusive design, enhance operational efficiency for all travelers. Passenger volumes will double. Travelers with disability might also double. So we want to make sure accessibility is not just a moral imperative, but is also a business necessity for sustainable operations. What does it take now to remove the remaining barriers to make sure travelers with disabilities feel valued and able to navigate airports independently and in confidence? So despite many of these advances that I spoke about, travelers continue to face barriers, preventing their truly independent navigation. The challenge now is moving beyond minimum compliance to create an environment where passengers with disabilities feel valued and empowered. What we need to do is continue working on staff training. It represents the most critical need. Airlines and airport staff require disability and accessibility awareness trainings, recognizing that technology alone cannot eliminate those barriers. We need a cultural shift. We need to make sure airports, airlines, and their partners embrace accessibility as a core business value, embedding disability perspectives into every aspect of operations, from design concepts to daily decisions. but also we need to ensure decisions affecting accessibility include meaningful inputs from the disability communities, from those with lived experience, through permanent advisory councils, not just once in a blue moon, but permanent advisory councils, and that will have decision-making authorities. And again, there's an economic and a business case around accessibility. I think we've heard this before as well, but still we have to remind our management about it every day. Accessibility attracts not only passengers with disabilities, but also aging populations, passengers with families, passengers traveling with temporary injuries. And these are significant market segments that we need to be focusing on. So in conclusion, true accessibility means that passengers with disability can navigate airports with the same confidence, the same independence and dignity as any other traveler. This requires moving beyond seeing disability as a special need, as we need to recognize their accessibility as a fundamental aspect and is part of excellent customer service that everyone should benefit. Removing the remaining travel barriers for passengers with disabilities require a fundamental shift from more compliance-based accessibility to dignity-centered inclusion across critical areas. I've mentioned before, awareness training, enhanced regulatory standards that move beyond minimum regulations, seamless universal design integration, systematic inclusion of disability advocacy voices in airport planning and operations, and finally, comprehensive infrastructure redesign that anticipates all different needs. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to see you all after lunch for this panel discussion that we will have on accessible airports with our representatives from Dubai Airports, Abu Dhabi Airports, Vienna Airport, and Intervistas Consulting. Thank you.